Hey, good evening, folks. Welcome to another installment of FlipTrax podcast here at Governor's Comedy Club in Levittown. As always, we have the producer, Tony Walker, next to me. And to my other side is my special guest tonight, Mark Green from WUSB Radio. He's from radio, so he's not sure about these cameras that are all staring him down. But
yeah, I'm looking at the one to my center. Yeah, that one.
That's the one, yeah.
The gray one.
You look marvelous. Marvelous.
Yeah, it's looking back at me. It's smiling,
Yeah.
and I'm glad it's smiling, Tom, because they
actually should have smiley faces on these cameras. Tony's wearing the smiley face shirt today. So
yeah, I mean, it's just a smiling place to be at in a comedy club.
Just a happy guy.
It's a different vibe than WUSB Radio.
Yes, there's a lot of smirking and smiling and grinning and comments of comedy, attempts at comedy.
Attempts is the big word.
Yeah, the big
yes.
attempt at comedy.
Yeah.
How you doing, Mark?
Tommy, I'm doing great. I'm really doing great, and I'm honored to be here with you today. I'm glad you asked me.
I'm happy you could make it on such short notice. I had played on his radio show on Monday?
Friday.
Friday. Geez,
Last Friday, just a few days ago.
Yeah, on Friday. And, it seemed like a cool thing to reciprocate and say, put you into the...
No, it actually, the timing was great because of, there's a bunch of events going on that we can talk about.
Yeah.
And we can recollect why we were together Friday for Scott Vid's celebratory radio broadcast. You know, Scott was a close friend of mine, as yours, and most recently in the last maybe 4 years, we worked together at my father's place. He was really helpful with us in building out the new hotel venue that we had there prior to COVID. And we had known one another for many years, Tom, but we got reconnected, and he became a close friend. And sadly, when he departed just a couple months ago, I was like, I want to really do a tribute to him musically. And when I began, it was like I began looking on all the trading sites because through his music library that he had, he was putting things out.
A lot of his tapes circulated. Yeah.
So I started searching Bold Captain, right? That was his surname online that he used. And our friend Kyle Holbrook, hi Kyle, up in Albany, tipped me on to like the name he used. So I searched, archive.org, Lostless Legs, Dime a Dozen, all of the places, betree.org.
Oh, I remember that one.
All through all these, and I'm finding stuff that Scott had, and I'm like, this was like a couple of days of his like passing. I'm like, wow, this is really great because what he had done and what really put him on the map, like you said, on the radio with me, you had mentioned the work you guys did songwriting.
Yeah. And for those of you guys don't know, I'll just interrupt for a second. Sorry. Scott Vid was a very talented poet, writer, musical enthusiast. He also managed the Barnum Ballroom in Island Park. He was Half Steps sound man for many years, graphic designer, just an overall great guy. And he passed recently back in March.
Yeah, March 3rd or 4th, something.
Yeah, he was diagnosed on New Year's Day. Happened quick. So anyway, there's much celebration for him and his life and his achievements. And Mark is no stranger to
But the journey begins. The journey begins when, I don't know if it was 2013 or 14, but you and I had connected, and there was a reason for you to come on the radio with me.
Right.
And I think
we were doing the Vale Levitt, right? I think we came to promote the Vale Levitt.
You must have had a gig,
something out there to promote.
Yeah, but anyway, I didn't expect you to show up with Scott in tow, and I hadn't seen him in many years.
Right.
So on that occasion,
you reconnected.
But you were playing a couple of the songs that you guys were co-working together.
Right.
The one about the lonely man or whatever it is.
The lover boy, yeah. The
lover boy.
Lover boy, lover man.
Sorry.
No, it's lover man. That could never be a lover boy.
Okay, right. There you go. Lonely guy, whatever. It's a lonely guy.
Maybe I'll sing that one. I just got the idea now.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. The lover boy that can never be.
The lover boy that can never get a hit.
Yeah. Anyway. As we digress, you played a couple of numbers, and then Scott left the room, and I'm like, I'm gonna have Tom up on the station because I want him to play the music, that they did. Like no one else was gonna ever have the ability to do that in front of the audience. So I felt it was necessary, and then that kind of blossomed into getting a full 7 hours of stuff. And fortunately, It's all on our archive if you want to go to the station.
Scott recorded a lot of live concerts through his lifetime and circulated them around. And what was the newsletter with all the newest installments?
Yeah, so I mean, this guy was so remarkable because professionally he was a graphic artist, and his family owned a print shop, and he was the guy that did all the typeset for the ads. They did circulars for newspapers and inserts and things, and he would set up all the plates that would go in for the printing process. And as such, he had the ability to do his own projects. So he would do posters.
He snuck a lot of the half-step artwork in there too.
But he would do like he would do posters.
Yeah,
he would do different things. And one of the things he did, and this is going to 1987, is I should have brought it. He created a pamphlet. It was a 14-page, 8.5 by 11 black and white pamphlet that has every recording he had up until that point, all of his cassettes. So number 1 to number 5,000 and something. It was insane because on the front of it were all of the, alphabetically, by the way, all the bands A through, numerals. And on the other side, the back side of it, upside down and backwards like you would have it done, Scott had his Grateful Dead collection. So, there were equally as many. And at that time, up until 87, he, it appears to me, because I just don't know exactly, but he has almost every show of every tour.
That'd be an unbelievable feat.
He has complete tours, and every source is kind of the best he could possibly get his hands on. Mm-hmm. So that's just a remarkable feat in and of itself.
He recorded a bunch of our shows too, and when he did sound for us, and he had a hard drive full of our shows, and before we got news of him being sick, he called us up and said, "Look, I got this drive. I think you should have all your songs." We're like, "Why do we need them now?" Well, now we can understand why you just wanted to lift them and pass them on to us. And
yeah, so presumably that's
Scott,
still available to be called over, and so just it's the occasion of our dear friend, honestly, that brings you and I back together.
Yes, we're
here
extending
tonight.
the celebration of Scott's life, and we do have a show to promote. We're doing Half Steps playing over at Mr. Beery's in Bethpage. Steve Beery was on the show this morning promoting the
yes, he was.
Challenge
Sure
Ball
was.
League, right? Is that the
Cystic fibrosis
benefit?
event, which is
And for
this
the Little
Saturday.
League as well, right?
We did a little bit of the Little League, yeah, but we're mostly
Little bit of the Little
pushing
League.
Steve's stuff. He's got a ton of stuff going on.
Oh yeah.
It's crazy.
We're going to be there for 420 this Thursday coming up.
Ooh, very
So
nice.
it'll be a nice little fog
nice.
fest going on there at Mr. Beery's. We love that kind of thing there, My crowd, my fans that come to see me there, they enjoy the break more than my show.
The break.
They really look forward to break. They even shouted, "I love break!"
Is there still a food truck in the back?
There
Once
used
in
to
a while?
once in a while, yeah. He had the big ugly. Remember that big truck there that
Yeah.
was painted all gross?
Yeah.
I think got to get rid of that recently.
Some good drunk food there.
Yeah.
I mean, why not?
So yeah, we're
Why
going to
not?
do a celebration of Scott Vid's life on May 5th, which would have been his 63rd birthday,
Fourth.
64th birthday. Yeah.
Yeah, 59. Scott was
so half step, some special
entered.
guests, and it'll be a hoot. It's May 5th at Mr. Beery's in Bethpage.
Yeah, be there.
Yeah.
Or
So Mark, tell me a little bit about
Yeah.
Stony Brook Radio. What's been going on over there? How long have you been there now?
oh gosh, since 2000.
That long now? Huh?
Yeah, I've been doing my actual show since 2009.
And that's Friday morning.
Friday morning, 10 a.m. to noon. It's called Fermented Radio. It's a good
Is that
title.
right after the Eclectic Mess?
It's after the Long Island Blues Warehouse with our
Oh,
good
okay,
friend
with
Mark Klein.
Yeah.
Hey, Marco.
Hello, Mark.
Hope you're feeling well, my friend, my colleague, and he's a really great person. Also, Tony
Yeah, I met Mark. I
knows
was on
Mark.
Half Step was on his show back in
And it's
2010 or 11.
yeah. I mean, we are a remarkable combination on Friday mornings from 8 a.m. to
lot of blues.
noon. Yeah, Mark does the Blues Warehouse. I'm playing Fermented Radio, and I'm really lucky to have my good friend Dennis McNamara of WLIR and Polygram Records as well as being my co-host when he can. And Dennis has a thing coming up this Saturday at the, about this new museum in Stony Brook, the Long Island Museum.
Rock Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah, Limhoff, Long Island Music Hall of Fame.
Isn't that a breathing exercise? Or limb hop? Close, I know.
You probably if you have acid reflux. That's how you
Which
get
I
rid
do.
That's how you get rid of it.
I
Does anyone burp anymore?
No, they just throw up.
I mean, I haven't encountered anyone that had like a burping episode recently.
Stick around. the night's young.
You guys just had Miller's. Somebody's going to do it eventually.
We went to Miller's Ale House for dinner, and
Oh my
I
God!
burped up a beer.
Oh my God! So that brings up a very funny story. If any of you have been watching television this past weekend,
which I haven't, but go ahead,
okay.
enlighten me.
All right. So the topic is Martin Scorsese has a new expose of the performer David Johansen. Buster Poindexter is the character. David Johansen is the birthright person, and he is still an amazingly talented performer. And Scorsese goes to Cafe Carlyle in 2020, just before COVID, it appears, and filmed, I guess, maybe one night, maybe several nights, but it looks to be all the same footage. And it's a performance, but it kind of goes in and out of interview stuff. And at the beginning of the discussion, he talks about the New York Dolls, and the question was they were a little bit off the beaten path. You know, they were somewhat different, but in Europe, they got to do a gig in, oh God, I'm going to forget. It must have been Germany, because before the gig, the promoters, like, we understand you boys like drinking beer. And they brought in, like, a case of, whatever beer that was. Oh, no, I know what it was. It was the Newcastle Brown, he said. He was in Newcastle.
Jerry's favorite.
Newcastle, and it was Newcastle Brown. And he said, they proceeded to each have like 6 or 12 each. And they got up to play, and it started with the drummer who, like, a couple songs in, just, like, vomited everywhere.
That's a stage show, I got to say.
And then,
fire-breathing Gene Simmons.
He said then, like, a few minutes later, his stomach erupted, and, all 4 of the guys just, like, let it fly. And they were, obviously they'd made an impression. And
so they
released
the gag reflex.
And then after that, they were, like, known. They were, like, people would say, are you going to throw up tonight on stage?
Yeah.
And, like, other bands would try and achieve the same level of mayhem. But, it was just a matter of too much Newcastle Brown.
Yeah. And you've had some encounters with him in person? Or?
Well, actually, it's funny you would ask. Because I did talk about Scott and mine working with the one and only Epi at my father's place when he reopened the place in Roslyn Hotel back in 2018. Our very first performance was with Buster Poindexter. So it's like June 28th, and it's a Friday night, and opening the place was from, like, I arrived, I think, April 8th, and it was nothing in there, and we built it all out, and now the day of opening, and it's pretty mayhem. We don't really know how it's going to go. We didn't have sufficient time to really check the sound system, and for some reason, there was something going on at the venue, like in the hotel, where on that day
there was always a bunch of things happening.
But like on the very day we opened, like there was something going on where, like, we couldn't touch it until 2:00 the room. So I remember I was like, even doing final assembly on the stage, So these guys show up, whatever. We do the whole gig. Poindexter, he was amazing. His band was great. It was sold out, obviously, and when we were there to begin with, everyone had good relations, and in the hotel, one of the benefits was the main act could get a room, and we had this, like, suite in the 3rd floor in the corner, which was for the main act and the band.
Buster, of course, his band had a
right. So he was like, he after sound check, he goes up there, he eats up there, he's everything. I get him for the show, I bring him down. He's wearing his dapper pink suit. After the show, I have to walk him back, and I turn to him. We're in the hallway, and I'm like, I didn't know anything. It was my first night as the official stage manager. I'd never stage managed anything other than raising my kids, which is, that's a challenge
story
in and of itself. But so I had done that prior, but I had none. So I figured I turn to this guy and I say, so, was it hot up there? Because I was, like, sweating bullets the whole time. And he goes, nah, I don't have a sweat.
Meanwhile, he sweats like a pig.
No, he was dry as a bone. I was like, dude. No, he was cool. He was calm, and I mean that's why Scorsese.
That's why he's a star.
That's why Scorsese did the thing on him.
I gotta see it.
And when you see it,
I love documentaries, even if I don't even like the artist. I just to get to know about him.
Deborah Harry's in the audience, like stage right. She's right there at the table, and the whole time she's just looking at it, enjoying it. I mean, like if you could see Tom Waits perform, you would want to. I mean, he's the same guy. You know, they're doing this like lounge thing now. It's just it's incredible.
Did you ever see the Roy Orbison black and white concert with?
Yeah, of course.
Tom Waits. He's like so low key in that whole thing that doesn't say a word. He just kind of plays the honky tonk piano like no big deal.
The best live specials, music specials ever.
Bruce
That's
was great on that.
Yeah.
And, you know, the background singers with Bonnie Raitt and all those. I got it for my dad for Christmas, and then watched it over his house the other day.
It's a beautiful tribute.
Yeah.
And
I can't believe he was only 52 when he passed.
I did not know that.
Yes.
My God, so young.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I believe he had health issues.
Did he?
Through his life, I believe.
Yeah. Died, right? Something like
Massive heart attack or something.
He played the Westbury Music Fair a few times. I saw him once.
Wow.
It was like extraordinary. And, you know, the voice was just like
he's got that
crazy.
Voice.
Oh, nobody
Crazy.
like it.
That's the one artist that Elvis was afraid, insecure of coming on after.
I bet, yeah.
He's
Makes sense.
following up. Boy, it's you know, it's just so wonderful being around the musicians and seeing them in person. I mean, I'm sure.
Well, being a music enthusiast as you are, and then to have that opportunity to be a stage manager, I mean, whoever came through there, you had the opportunity to get yelled at by them.
But it's not always you know a good experience.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, where's my blue M&Ms? All that stuff. You know?
Have you? No. Okay, so the blue M&Ms, because I did all the riders too.
Oh yeah.
And they're funny as hell. Looking at the riders for most of these
I'd
acts.
like to get a couple of samples so I can make a real legitimate rider someday. You know.
Well, I think it depends on how particular you want to get. You know.
No, we don't get nothing.
But if you're a major touring band, you may not want to be sighted too close to a generator at the festival. And you may have in your rider that you can't be within 1,500 feet.
Of a generator.
Yeah, a generator. So your bus, wherever you park it, and, you know,
Unbelievable.
you got to navigate so you don't breathe any fumes.
Yeah,
and you can't perform, and you might not make it to the show in 2042.
I wonder if Yes wrote their album Big Generator because of that.
But the a big generator. But the blue M&Ms were actually just a ploy.
That was an Ozzy thing, wasn't it? Or no?
No, it was like Van
Halen.
Halen. But it was to see if you read the rider.
Right. Yep.
Because if you would get to that point, then you were like, this is not reality. I'm going to ask them, really, blue M&Ms? I'd never seen those. They're like, oh, yeah, they don't do that. So,
You know, a couple of bottles of, you know.
but, you know, always on the rider is the liquor. Like, everybody tries to get a bottle of booze,
Right.
a 6-pack, and a couple of bottles of wine. Depending on who you are, you may or may not get it. The dearly departed Robert Gordon,
He didn't get it?
he got it, and he shouldn't have.
Oh, that's not right.
It was a very sensitive situation on his second performance with us.
Now,
and-
this was
and he's
prior
a
to the
sweetheart.
show. He needed his wine.
Well, he's a sweetheart of a guy. You know, our office was not always in the most organized fashion, and when that show was approaching that week, and I personally reviewed the riders, I asked for liquor because it was on it, not knowing that he had abstained for many years prior. Though, if the liquor was there, he was going to be on it.
Yeah.
So he
You'd be
proceeded.
responsible for that.
He proceeded to drink the. I'm sure it wasn't gin. It was most likely vodka. And after about 3 songs, he comes storming off the stage and he curses the monitor guy because the feedback was so bad, because he's the only guy that wanted these side fills, like right there. He wants the floor monitors, the side fills, and the band. It's like next to impossible in that little room we had with the speakers right there and everything. It's all within a 40-foot radius, if that.
Right.
Not
The amps on
possible.
the stage are this big, you know.
But the speakers were behind the stage. It wasn't a good placement at all. It was like a nightmare. So it's feeding back. He freaks out. My MO as the stage manager, right, guys? This is what I do. I work my ass from like opening at like 10 or 1 p.m., 2 p.m., whatever, until they hit the stage. And then when he's on the stage, I see the first song. I'm like, okay, everything's good. I go in the back. You know, maybe I go out to the parking lot and have a coffee. And then I come
We can
back.
tell
and
that story.
Then I come back and I watch. I watch those sports, whatever's on the TV. I'm sitting there. So this day I'm there. It's like the third song. I'm like, oh, this is good. Everything's fine. And I hear this guy grumbling in the equipment room beside me. And I walk in. I go, I'm looking at him. I go, what's wrong? He goes, the sound man. He doesn't know what he's doing. I go, well, what do you mean? You got the full house. You got to go back on stage. Yeah. He's like, no. They got to straighten this out right now for me. And I said, look, man, you've been paid. I know that. I said, you have to go back. It's full house, no fooling. It's 3 songs in. So he goes back. We unplug Rob Stone, the bass player, his speaker, move it over to him. Suddenly it doesn't feed back, and he kills the show. He's like, he goes a little extra over the top. Right. And he ends up winning the crowd and everybody. But, it was a moment. It was a moment, and it was one of those things where the rider was said to give it, and we thought we could, and my bad.
Yeah, you live and learn the hard way in that case.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but we worked with the Tubes, this band out of Los Angeles. Yeah. The lead singer is Fee Waybill.
1 in a million girls.
That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah. White Punks on Dope.
Mm-hmm. Vince Welnick.
So, yeah.
Vince
was the keyboard
right,
player. Yeah. When I was in high school, I knew a kid from, one of the kids. I went to a boarding school in New Hampshire, and one of the kids was from California, Mammoth, California. He had Tubes records, so we were like, wow, this is really neat. We didn't know about him in 79, 80. Right, when they were coming out, but they were popular out here. But the song, White Punks on Dope, I was like, what's this about? Because I was interested in anything radical, anarchist music was
I
right
think
there.
The title's pretty self-explanatory.
That would be my guess.
White Punks on Dope. I wonder what this song's about.
Mom and Dad live in Hollywood.
That's like singing the song "Stand by Me." And they go, "What's that song called?"
Yeah. Okay. So anyway,
yeah,
we drag us. So the Tubes are coming in, and it's going to be a big show, and we're sold out again. And what I don't think about is the requirement for the lead singer who has a costume thing. Mm. And it kind of overlooked that, too, on the specs for the show. So they come in, and it's like, where am I going to dress? Well, what do you mean? And we didn't have a dressing room for that purpose. So, again, he's in the equipment room, and he sets up his clothing rack. We get a coat rack from the coat closet, whatever. We set him up, and they do the sound check. They give everybody, the lighting guy gets a binder of cues. The sound guy gets a binder of cues. The show's like, okay, this song, that song, boom, boom, boom. And everything seems to be cool. We get through the dinner, It's about to hit the show. And they're going out to the stage. And he turns around and he says, well, who's going to help me get on and off stage? Mm-hmm. He turns to me. He says, well, who's going to help me? And I go, me. I'm going to help you.
I'm the guy.
I'm not gonna go get my coffee tonight. I'm not gonna go sit and watch the sports. I'm gonna help you. I'm like,
see, you can't do that on radio.
I didn't say anything. Fee.
No, you can say it all you want here.
Yeah,
you can say whatever you want.
I know, but I'm not going to because he might watch one day, chase me down. I mean, the guy is literally 6'7". He looks like he's still a fit guy, really fit. So anyway, so he says to me, okay, here's what's gonna happen. You're going to have to be there to help me on and off stage and change and stuff and get the door. So I said, okay, fine. How hard is that? Well, everybody had a cue sheet except for me. So I didn't realize they were going to play an entire record, like 12 songs straight. Then he's going to come off stage. So I'm watching 15 minutes. I'm like, is this guy ever going to leave the stage? He finally comes off, first time, finished, comes off, into the room, change number 1. No big deal. By change number 5, he's doing this character that's like it's like an S&M thing. And he's getting changed, and he's changing his clothes. But at this moment, he's naked, and he's putting the costume on. And I get a knock on the door. Rap, rap, rap. It's Epi and Larry the Duck. And they want to come through to get a bottle of water. Right. And I'm at the door because the guy's naked over here, and he doesn't want to be embarrassed. Neither do I.
Right.
Want to even have to talk to him or look at him.
It's bad enough you're there in the first place.
Right. It was embarrassing. The whole thing was really
missed his coffee break.
It was really fucking embarrassing. So I cracked the door. I go, can't come in. Oh well, please let us in. We want a glass of water. I said, no, absolutely not. You don't understand. He's changing, and he's So he's getting dressed and he puts on a leather jockstrap. And I'd never before witnessed a gentleman in a leather jockstrap.
Alone backstage.
I mean, I was like so many shades of red, but it's like, okay, I can roll with this. Like I'm comfortable with myself. And and we go out, and now he's on stage, and now I've got to I got to watch him the whole time because he's going to come off any minute, and he's not going to say, now I'm changing into the next outfit, everybody.
Right.
So he just comes bolting off the stage.
Into my ironclad Cosby face.
And his next outfit, his last one, is his character Quaalude.
Ah.
Now, Quaalude has this pair of shoes that date back to 1979. They're these platform shoes. Like, he's 6'7", I told you. 6'5", maybe.
Now he's got 6-inch heels.
Like platform shoes. They're like 9-inch heels with a big foam platform. And when he's and they have no ankle support. It's just like the spandex from the foam up. It's a zipper. And he's sitting on the folding chair, and he turns to me and he goes, "I'm going to need you to help me here." And I turn to him, I go, "So now you want a hand?" I'm like,
can you fluff me, please?
I'm like, what
package for you, sir?
I'm like, what can I do? And he goes, "You're gonna have to come over here, and I'm gonna put my hand on your shoulder, and I'm gonna stand up out of the chair." He goes, and when I'm when I'm stable.
Now, how old is this guy about now? He's like 60,
70.
70?
Oh yeah, look him up. I mean, he's like 70. It's incredible. So so he's on my shoulder, and we go through the first door because he's so big. He has to he's like, "Slow down," really hit his head on the door frame. And we get out to the stage, and there's a video of me leading him onto the stage, and I was really embarrassed. And the tip I should have gotten on Monday. When you talk to Epi on Monday and you're running down like the week of what's going to happen, and he said something like when Fee comes, he could be a bit of a handful. That was like
That's all you got.
That's as much information as I got. It was like I was like, oh God, what a challenge. But it was
not even a robe.
It's a good story. It's a good story. We had a lot of fun there.
And it's a coincidence because you're wearing your leather jockstrap tonight, aren't you?
How did you know, Tony? Did
I
we share
know.
any thoughts about what we're going to wear tonight? Like, are you going to wear yours? I'll wear mine.
These guys have a personal after party that I'm not part of.
No, you're not privy to the after parties here. Let people out there think that we really have a crazy time here, but
Yeah, that's in the other room, the dungeon.
Actually, there is a dungeon here in Governor's, right? For all the starting acts.
Oh boy, too much information.
Yeah, yep. I'm not saying a word.
Is there a wheel of fortune up there?
Dens of iniquity and torture chambers. And,
Oh God, an escape room somehow.
yeah. Do they have any big shows here coming up or no?
Well, every week is a big show.
There you go. That's
How about that? That's
good
a
answer.
good
Every
answer.
week here at Governor's Comedy Club is a big show.
Carrie Karavis is here this weekend. I don't know if-
We did
Local legend.
we did some comedy
Yeah.
at my father's. We did a few comedy gigs. I forget the name of the guys.
I know Stevie GB was there.
Oh my God,
Stevie G.
I had to ask him to stand down.
What?
Did you?
I love the guy. He loves me, but I was just not nice to him. Stevie GB. So and Tony. I mean, now you want to know why?
Yeah, of course. Please, come on.
Absolutely.
Hi, Stevie.
You know.
You watching? I mean, I'm Mark. Yeah, you hated my guts, probably. I was
Great
so
guess. I don't even have to play songs. I don't have to ask any questions. Just
right.
wind them up.
Yeah,
I was
he's
so mean to
name
this
dropping.
guy. I was so mean to this guy because, I mean, like, he's a funny guy, right?
Yeah.
And he's got this great act where he ends up with this story at the beach. You may have heard it.
Yeah, I'm familiar. Yeah.
I'm not. So this is pretty entertaining.
So he played our place like, I don't know, like more than a dozen times. Like he was really like our most frequent comedian. I think he and Dan had a thing. Dan Kelly. Hey, Danny. Yeah, Dan was our GM for a minute until he couldn't work at the hotel anymore for personal reasons. Yeah. And then Stevie continued.
Coffee breaks.
Stevie continued. And, one day I had to tell him, I was like, it's okay when you come by, but you can't go in every dressing room and, be like, palsy-wowsy with all the talent. It's like, if you open up, just do your thing and, leave them alone. Like, don't tell them you love everything they've ever done. It's like, no one does. It's like, don't ask for selfies, like, just play it cool.
Yeah, yeah.
So Yeah, he didn't think I had the authority to say that to him, which I probably didn't. So as usual, I was I had to take my foot out of my mouth. But he got the message. He didn't do his 13th performance. Wow. But besides that, we tried to do a television show, and this is where I was going. We had an ill-fated television show in the fall of
CBGB Comedy Hour?
2019. No. There were these other guys. They casted some real comedians.
Really?
And we did the gentleman who was the general manager had this concept. He was going to go to Channel 21, and he was going to sell them like a Rowan and Martin, modern day, at my father's place.
Because that's what 21 is known for.
Well, they have these art stations,
Yeah,
and he said, we'll get there, Tony. That's you're stealing my punchline, man.
I'll shut up.
Who is the straight guy here?
No, but it's okay. We filmed 3 days. We did 12 bands, all at their expense, and the honor of being on our television show.
Who was it? Joe Franklin that was big on 21? No, he was on Channel 9.
Joe Franklin, classic.
Yeah, it's classic.
Classic. I used
He's
to.
still out there doing it.
Get out of here.
Yeah, he's still out.
Joe Franklin?
Isn't he?
He's as old as Ben Franklin.
I believe he's deceased. I'm not going to fact check.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's been off the air for some time. We might be thinking about some others.
Possibly.
I could be wrong. You never know. Stephen King is
Floyd's
still
still
alive,
doing
right? Not Stephen King. No, he died too.
Larry King's not alive.
He passed. God bless him.
You're right. He is dead. But I'm pretty sure towards the end he was still doing it on a local level. He was still doing something somewhere.
He may have gone Bruce Hampton and died in the salad. Salad. I'm a mess.
Don't worry about it.
I'm a mess. Don't you want to play a song or something to get me to stop?
I could if you want. You want to take a breath and then I'll.
No, because I want to finish my story about the
the
ill-fated.
Well, see, you're our guest. Whatever you want to do.
The ill-fated television show goes like this. We filmed in November and December of 2019. We did this on a Monday, in a Tuesday, and
at the hotel, right on the stage.
yeah. What was cool about that, the way we set it up, the stage was modular. You could make it wider or longer. Mm-hmm. So we made it instead of being, 16 feet deep, we had it 24 feet deep, which was kind of good for the shoot.
Right.
And anyway, we produced this whole thing, and there were these comedic skits. And all this really great stuff put together, and the result of which I think was a 30-minute pilot. The 3 bands. Taz was one of the bands. That woman, Lara Hope, in the Rockabilly. Do you know her? Possibly. Sure. She was one of the other acts. And my good friend, the bass player of Paul Simon, Bagidi Kumalo.
Oh, yeah, I met him recently.
Was the
Little guy,
BK.
nice guy.
BK, great guy.
Yeah, he plays with Benoit in Long Beach. Occasionally, he was a guest on the show once.
Oh, great. Yeah, no, BK is a great old friend of mine. I met him when I was first doing radio at CW Post. He and I met before his children were little, as mine were, and we became close friends, he and his then wife, and been friends ever since. He lives out in Allentown now. And he still comes to Long Island, to Riverhead. He does a mentorship for East End Arts, where he teaches the bass to all ages, not even just children students or teenagers, but adults as well. And great guy, still
Great
around.
bass player.
Yeah. So
You can call me Al, right?
so he was on the pilot too, and of course, like I said, no one got paid, and the thing didn't go anywhere. And when it was submitted to 21, they kind of said, "Yeah, not exactly what we're looking for," and it sort of fizzled out. But it was a cool thing. And then now I flip channels. You go through channel 161 or something, and it's the Channel 21 Arts channel, and they always have some ballet from Balanchine or some orchestras. It's I've never seen one.
Bob Ross,
I've never seen one contemporary performance. But then I don't know, a month ago maybe, I was flipping through channel 100 to 140, and there's another channel in there where they actually do show it. So maybe that's the art channel he was trying to get on, the one on channel 125
Gave it to the wrong
that I just
21.
found. But
Was the Roman numeral?
needless to say, my stage managing career was a lot less. My tenure was a lot shorter than my radio.
And you're stage announcing, which is always classic.
Well, I'm known for my mistakes on stage.
He introduced Half Step on stage once at the Space. I gave him too much coffee before the intro, and
I didn't stop talking.
No, I think it was the opposite. You were like deer in the headlights.
Oh, maybe I was just like nervous.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
at
what I
that
think.
point. Did I get it out? Was I like, hey, everybody?
Yeah, you kinda. I remember you saying you were all,
Yeah. Well,
it was definitely a little smoother than the Zen Trickster intro.
it's not an exact science, but
Which that's a good one. That's a good story.
there's another
I
great
mean,
story.
at the expense of your embarrassment.
It's
it is a
okay.
great
I
story.
mean, look. I mean, honestly, I've always thought I was funny. My family sometimes,
Yeah.
and my wife had the funniest thing today. I'll share this with you guys because we're on a comedy. Then we'll get back to the story.
Okay.
All right. So I'm taking her to the airport, and have you ever had any family members that fact check you?
No.
While you're talking, they'll like grab the phone.
Nah, my
Oh,
family,
yeah,
My
yeah,
family
yeah.
just buys what I tell them. They didn't.
Yeah, Al Franken, he's still alive. Sure,
check that.
Sure he is. So, so anyway, we're in the car.
You can relate, right, Tony?
We're in the car, and we're going to the Cross Island from the LIE. And you come down the ramp, and this car right in front of me is like stopped. So I have to hit the brakes. So she immediately grabs her phone, and there's like a group chat between my two children and her and me, the family chat. It's FAM on our fam.
Gotcha.
And
your
she's
phone's
like,
going, "Boing, boing," just trying to
Dad,
break.
Dad's driving like a lunatic. He nearly just fucking killed me. Like so they're texting, and now we get up to like the Whitestone Expressway, and she's like, "Oh, the kids know you're driving terribly," and I'm like, "Time out. Like when did our like personal ride turn into like you're
chat.
sharing a group chat?" With our kids that are supposed to be at work, like doing their life, living their lives. like what could be so important? So she just took it to another level today. And I told her, I said, I'm going to use this material because it's just too good not to use. So it's like a new level of being fact checked, distracted driving, and then being called out on it.
Braking because there's stopped cars in the middle of the
Yeah,
road.
not only by your wife, but I mean, are you married, Tony?
I am.
Okay. And
Fact check that.
almost 30 years for myself, and we have geese that come around. There's like a pond on our neighbor's property. It's adjacent, like run off water, and the geese are around. And she's like, "Mark, can't you go out there and do anything about them?" I'm like, have you checked out the anatomy of a goose? like what the hell?
And they're mean. They're nasty, man. They'll
Like if you get anywhere near the thing, it goes,
come hissing at you.
right? I'm like, like even if I could, where am I going to grab it? How am I going to
By the neck.
I'm like what are you talking about? I mean, like I've got the best imagination there is.
Right.
That's obviously why she loves me. But like
Next time you should just have her take care of it. You go out there and see what you can do with it.
yeah. So we're not into firearms, so that's out. Anyway, the question was about.
Was there a question?
Yeah, before that.
I mean, as the host, I should say there's always a question, but what was the question? Oh, about your intro to the Zen Tricksters at the Great South Bay Music Festival.
Okay, so 2015 or 16, somehow or another, I guess I asked Jim Faith if I could do a stage announcement that I knew Zen Tricksters, and I would be willing if he was allowing. And he said yes. Stupidly, obviously, and I knew the guys, and I'm kind of chatting it up, and the best is I'm with the Buddy Cage, the great pedal steel player, God bless him, of the New Riders, and we're kind of in the wings because the New Riders played that. Oh no! Why would you call me now?
Don't answer it.
I'm not. I'm just
Bring
gonna
it to voicemail. You're busy.
Put it on speaker.
So.
We do have a phone number for this.
So I'm
place,
talking
too,
to Buddy
so I don't know
Cage.
if that
I'm talking to
happens.
Buddy Cage. Suddenly it's time to go on air on stage, and and those guys have instead of Rob Baracco, they have Mookie Siegel on the keyboards, and I said to those guys, I knew Tom and Jeff, casually, and I was like, let's have fun with this. Why don't you guys go into a little vamp, and I'll announce the band as around the horn,
Like
kind
the
of.
Bill Graham thing.
Yeah, the Bill Graham
Sit down
thing
like the JoJo.
from the Great American Music. Yeah, Bill Graham. So
Look, Grateful Dead.
right. So I was way above my pay grade in terms of asking for anything beyond just saying, everybody welcome the Zen Tricksters.
Right. Yeah.
So I figure I'm going to do the whole spiel, and I turn to the keyboard player and I say, everybody, let's give a warm hand to Mookie Wilson.
Oh, no.
I totally spaced the seagull, and I turn to the next guy, and it's like Jeff, and he's looking at Tom, and they're all looking at each other like did he just say Mookie Seagull?
No,
I mean
he said
Mookie Wilson, like the baseball player. Did he just say Mookie Wilson? And I'm like, so I replay that, because everything is on a delay when you're in front of fucking 30,000 people.
It sounds like a light.
You're like, your whole life is just like, wah, 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 what happened here? Like, so I go, okay, well, my mistake, everybody. Mookie Seagull, the great, and then I finish up, and I'm walking off. I'm like, oh man, I'm such a jerk.
How did Mookie take it?
Fine, he was laughing. I don't think he knew who Mookie Wilson was.
Oh, maybe just like.
And I don't think he was embarrassed either. But ever since then, whenever I see Steve Trietta,
He calls you Mookie.
he's like, hey, Mookie Wilson.
Well, Steve has a pet name for everybody.
He's the only person in the world. I love it. I love it because I earned it. I earned it that day. I could be Pocahontas and I would still love it.
And then you figure, well, I can't get them anymore. Let me see if Half Step will let me introduce him. And he comes to the space. You were loose. And I think it went off okay. I don't recall you trying to give all the names off. That was, you learned.
No, that was the last time I did that.
Yeah.
I might try it again, though, but we would have to rehearse. I'd have to at least be their sound check.
It's a great idea to introduce
bring 'em up all
everybody.
the time,
Yeah,
they'll
it's-
build
But,
names
but,
next
but
to
you
those
know,
bands playing.
I believe I was my frame was a little smaller at the time. I had better stage presence than I do now. But that could change. I mean, that's another thing my wife is
say the
really,
same thing.
really imploring upon me to change my my dietary habits and maybe exercise a little. Rather than walking to the refrigerator.
No, I know. I hear you.
But anyway,
You had a good intro at the beach last year.
You did spectacular. It was great.
you
gonna do it again this
introduced
year?
down at the boardwalk.
Yeah.
That's a
Band
fun
show,
gig.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved it.
Was it last year or 2 years ago? No,
That was last
year,
summer. Yeah.
I like those. That's a fun place
Yeah,
to
we'll
play.
be there in September. The
Oh,
first,
very nice.
weekend in September, the last shows they have there.
Since we're bringing it
So
up,
the rest
I know.
of the acts for the rest of the summer behave so we can pull it off.
Right, well, hopefully the weather will prevail and you won't get rained out because that does happen occasionally down
Yeah,
there.
shut up already. With
They gotta
that.
pull the
April's talking
plug
about rain out in
because
September.
the rain,
Yeah, right,
the
right.
rain in Spain. So what else, Tom? What's on your calendar, your agenda? Beside the 5th of May, we're going to celebrate Scott Vitt over at Mr. Beery's.
420. Both
Please
are
come
ironically
down to
Mr.
420.
Beery's.
So you're doing.
We'll be at the warehouse.
You're doing a
again, where,
residency.
one of
You're
the
in
exciting
residency.
shows coming up we're happy to do is the Space Theater again. We're going to be there May 12th.
Oh, very nice.
And we're doing a San Francisco Sound night with Janis Joplin Band and the Jefferson Airplane Band.
Whoa, that's extra special.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty cool.
That
So,
sounds really nice.
May 12th, it's a Friday night, I believe. And
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe I'll be rolling in back from there.
that'd be cool. You can introduce us. Unless Tony wants to, one or the other.
Is that worth if I make it on time?
We'll see. See how
I'm
it
going to
goes.
I'm going to be in New Orleans on the 10th, and if I'm healthy, I'm going to drive home, and I'll be here on the 12th
Cool.
to do that. So
Yeah.
put me on your limited guest list, okay?
See what I can do on that one for sure, man.
I'm just
It's run by
joking.
Jim Faith now, so I don't know. He might ban you.
Oh God, yeah. He might remember who I am. No, he actually we've since become friends, and he's a really nice guy. He's a nice friend of Dennis's, my radio partner, and he's he and Jim have a real admiration for one another, Dennis and Jim. So I've gotten to know Jim better through Dennis, and he's a little bit misunderstood because it's a thankless job when you're a promoter on that scale. You try and make everyone happy, but it's nearly impossible. But the good news is that he's still at the game, and his business has grown. He's doing the space. He's doing. I think there's another venue.
Iridium.
He's working with Ron Sturm to book that.
Yeah, we played there in January. It was a good
That's
show.
great.
Sold it out. It was nice.
Yeah, I mean that's a
Well,
really
it's not
nice.
hard. The place holds like 100 people.
Yeah, but it works. Like it's
Yeah, it does.
within the economy of
What a
that
great
room. They have
place.
it down.
Yeah.
Is Richard still the sound man?
I don't think we had a guy named Richard, no.
Yeah, there was a great sound guy there for years. He had a regular job, but he'd come in at night and
We had a
he,
young guy. He was really good, though.
Yeah. Anyway, my friend Richard, dear guy. I used to go down there and see lots of groups, And there was one, David Murray did like a full week of playing there with the music of Ornette Coleman. And David said I could record it, and Richard said I could leave a tape deck because I couldn't make it every night. But I gave him the tapes and the deck, and like I left it there, and he ran them down every night, and it worked out really great, except the fact that the drums weren't microphoned.
No, so you don't hear the drums.
You don't hear the drums on any of the tapes because everything's close mic'd and no drums. So we didn't have an ambient mic in the room.
Soundboards are really tricky that way. You always just get keyboards and vocals.
But as the novice guy doing it, I would have never thought of asking him, "Are you going to microphone the drums for the purpose of being on the recording?" Now I know.
Yeah.
So
sometimes the vocal mics will pick them up enough, but maybe not.
No, there's no vocals because they're all horns.
Oh, so there you go.
It was a jazz act. Yeah, the microphone on the horn that the guy's swinging around here and there. Not so much.
So I'm looking at my calendar here for the end of this month. We have like I said, we have this Thursday is Half Step at Beery's, and then the 22nd we'll be playing at the Cabana in Long Beach.
That's a nice venue.
Yeah, it's a cool show. It'll be the Half Step Quartet.
Very nice.
And then
you always get a good crowd down there. A lot of fun people in Long Beach.
Following weekend, it'll be Tiger Rose at Bo's Bar.
Back out in
Greenlawn.
Greenlawn.
Jerry Garcia band fix. That's happening then. And then on the 30th, Half Step's playing at the Port Jefferson Brewery. You ever been there in their outdoor shows? They got a nice tent.
Well, I have been across the way doing the town of Port Jefferson show, and you hear them. Across the.
So we're going to be like annoying your.
Nah. Usually it's already those guys close down by dark, and then the other one starts up. And no, it's a really nice place. Yeah, it's a cool. Port Jeff's a nice town. It's very New Englandish kind of.
It is
for Long Island.
Yeah, traffic is very congested towards the end there by the ferry.
Oh yeah,
but, so many people come off the ferry and they go around for ice cream.
Yeah, they don't know where to go,
But this is a good show. We've done it a few summers in a row, and
that's good.
So we'll be there on the 30th of April.
Very cool. Very cool. So there's some good things on the horizon.
There's always something lined up.
For the half steppers.
Either playing with Half Step, Tiger Rose, me, Dave Diamond Band, Ed Ryan Band. I play with him still. This Friday we're doing something. And,
that's super fun.
Yeah.
Super fun. How's that? Did he cut his hair yet?
No. He was in the Trans-Siberian Orchestra this past winter. Did you know?
Really?
Yeah, he was they
invited him.
Understudy.
He was one of the guys.
Yeah, they called him in to do a couple shows in Seattle. And
I believe it.
He's great. He's meant for the big stage. He really.
Well, he has that performance thing. He loves performing.
Got to get him back on the show, Tony. He's got a couple of things brewing that.
That'd be cool.
I'm sure he'd love to talk about.
Yeah, I would love to get him.
In fact, if you're hearing or watching Ed, you and Kenny Forgione, why don't you guys come in here one night?
Kenny was supposed to do my show. And he said he was going to bring Steve Holly with him. I got all excited. But,
what happened?
I don't know. I haven't heard from him. He's in trouble.
I think Steve's on a world tour. I forgot with who.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he was supposed to play with us this coming Friday, actually.
Oh, wow.
And I think I got on the road with Steve Holly from Paul McCartney and Wings. I don't know if you know Steve Holly.
Yeah, he played with Joe Cocker for a while, too.
Really super, super nice guy.
Yeah, that's what my brother tells me.
That's great.
So.
That's cool. Well, I mean, you guys are certainly a quality act. And, for all of us fans of the band beyond description, Half Step is...
We've been playing a lot lately, too. And, our I had Scott Bartle from Half Step on here last show.
Scott's exceptional. I mean,
we were talking about the fact that, we haven't collectively, as the full band, rehearsed since 2015, maybe? 2016 was the last time we sat down to try to rehearse a show. So everything's just pick up, you do your homework, show up, and jam, and that's what makes it work, I think, because you don't think too hard about it. But yet, you got to know what era you're dealing with. There's a lot of different...
There's a lot of nuance. There's a lot of nuance in that music. There's a lot of... what made Grateful Dead great for me as an audience member, participant, was the fact that every now and then Bob and Jerry would have this one big guitar. They would unite in this way that it was just... The sum was much greater than the individual parts, absolutely. and then it folds out.
Well, what did Phil Les always say, that they considered themselves like fingers on a hand? They were like one organism, but they were just components.
Yeah. Oh, so something really cool. Since you mentioned the MIDI and your friend Mitch, was it?
No, Joe Moskowitz.
Moskowitz. Okay, Joel.
Joey. We call him Joey.
Okay. Joe Moskowitz. So I had
Hey, Joey, he just mixed a song for me today. Very, very talented dude.
We'll finish. We'll talk about that just before we're
Okay,
done.
whenever
'cause
you're ready, Mark.
That's
You're ready,
important.
Mark, I can talk.
That's important. But,
So, yeah.
but
as
Tommy,
far
this
as-
is really cool because you may not have realized this.
I probably won't.
Did you see the Grateful Dead in their last incarnation, like, say, in the late 90s?
Mm-hmm.
During the show, Bob Braylove was their band member that was
MIDI
behind the
programmer,
scenes.
yeah.
MIDI programmer. He got involved during the drum solo. When Mickey would go to the beam, he ran a console that was behind the drum kit that kind of took over the sound to send it out. And it got to the point where the sound man, Dan Healy, was setting up speakers and kind of moving the sound around the room. You know, we would hear that at the Garden, at the Coliseum.
Yeah.
You know, all for a number of years. And
Like
then,
the old Pink Floyd thing. Huh?
yep. And then
Quad
it
sound.
and then it got to the point where they were sending the MIDI instrument information to the light board. And Candace set up banks of lights for each player that would be set up in these chase scenes. And every time they played a note, it would move a sequence. So the five guys would all have their own setups, and at random, this stuff would start moving around. And, you know, for 1994, 5, 6, when they were beginning to really develop that,
Oh, it can't be 96. Just want to fact check that.
95,
Jerry died in 95.
yes,
August, right? August 95?
yes.
We're learning, Tony. Every week he knows a little bit more about the Dead.
No, that much I remember. I liked them. I
So
liked
in
them
the
a little bit.
in the last 3 years or thereabouts, they'd refined
Okay.
this technique where not only was the MIDI information driving the sound you would hear, but also the lights, and
That's unbelievable stuff. And now
Yeah.
it's so advanced now that you know, you can control them with your feet pedals now. Like, who was it? Tony Levin,
yeah,
the bass player.
yes,
He has a camera set up on stage, rigged all over the stage in different areas, and he controls them with his feet. So he's taking live shots of the band from the stage.
and put it on the screen behind him.
No, taking them in. He has a whole photo book you can.
Oh,
purchase,
wow, very
like
neat.
Peter Gabriel and King Crimson and all candid shots because they're all like these little guys, these GoPros, and he had them like working with his foot pedals and
That's
Yeah,
really neat.
he's amazing.
yeah,
That's really neat. So we started tonight talking about Scott.
we did. Should I do it? Should I do a Scott Vid song composition?
Let's do one. Let's do one.
Let's do one. We could do that. Let's do one. Let's see. Should I do the lover boy that can never be a man? No, it's the lover man that can never be. Sure, why not? In a house upon a hill, there's a little country girl, and she's sitting on her back porch just for me. She is there most every night in the sun's fading light for the lover man that can never be. 'Twas the thought of 21 when the long end of a gun filled an innocent man with hot lead. I was foolish, I was young, and it wasn't very long till I woke up with a price on my head. From the back roads to the rails, every dusty hobo trail, I spend my days thinking of you. How I long for you each night, dreamt of holding you tight, a dream that may never come true. In a house upon a hill lives a little country girl. She's sitting on her back porch just for me. She is there most every night in the twinkling starlight for the lover man that can never be. On the night that I had fled, all the tears that we had shed, the Rio Grande would have overflown. Now the night as I sing this mournful song, trying to shake this heavy load. If you listen to my plight, I relive it every night, 'cause a pistol has two business ends. I'll be looking down my back with every bark and every crack. A train whistle, my only friend. 'Cause in a house upon a hill lived a little country girl. She sat on her back porch just for me. She was there most every night in the sun's fading light, for the lover man that can never be. Yes, she was there most every night in the pale blue moonlight, for the lover man that can never be. For the lover man that can never be. Oh.
Very, very nice. So.
Sweet, sweet song.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me, Tom. This was a good time.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, man. You make the hour fly by, man. And we just hit the tip of the iceberg about what we could talk about more.
Yeah, we'll do part 3 or
We'll do something else.
next-
I'll come back on your show. You come back over here.
Some
You're
other
welcome
time.
anytime.
Yeah, likewise. If you ever feel like doing a 10 a.m. Friday thing and all of your sharing your music and explaining it,
Yeah.
and in their own words, kind of thing.
Yes.
That's how I approach it. It's there's a distinction between being a broadcaster and a journalist or a critic. Like people are skeptical of people that are music writers because they think they're going to criticize.
Right.
But the point is to expose the artist and give them the ability to present themselves, and that's what I've tried to do.
And that's what a good journalist or writer would do, is kind of.
Yeah, it's hard
Well,
to
you hope the artist would do enough talking where they don't have to do much, but in this case,
give you enough information to work
Yeah.
with.
we didn't have any pre-planned things here. We never do,
Yeah.
This is like the Grateful Dead of podcasts, Tony. We just wing it. Some nights are good, some nights are bad.
I think they're always good.
Sometimes you get repeats, like that song tonight is probably like the third time I might have played this on the show.
it's
Once
all
with
right.
Scott Vick sitting right next to me.
I saw
And
that,
then
man. That
another
was
time
that was really wonderful interview you had with him.
Yeah, that was.
I'm going to
great.
cherish that.
I'm going to watch that again.
I hope it
posted
remains in cyberspace forever because
Yeah.
it really captured our friend
Well,
nicely.
just go to govsradio.com or,
That's it.
or
At the
YouTube.
archive.
Search Govs Radio on YouTube, and all the shows are archived. And most of my
Good.
fans get to see it after the fact because I usually post it like a half hour before we go on air. Well, we have a situation here where we can't get the live link until we actually go live. So when that happens,
Is that it sounds like you're complaining somehow, but I mean, this
No,
is
that's
so
not complaining.
amazing, man.
I'm just letting these people
What's the
understand
difference?
all the
What's the
behind the
difference? You
scenes.
do it and it's here forever. That's what they need to know.
the less buttons
Just tell
they
them.
need to
Just tell them
click.
you do it and it's there forever. It's like, it's just like
Our
the girl.
shows- your
just
shows
like
are
the-
archived as well.
Just like the girl who called
can-
up
where
and
can
wanted me to give her 7 hours of the show. I said,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
it's on the site.
Yeah,
Just
you've been
go
going
there.
on for 6 hours. You think I could come on and go on for 7 hours? Hey, how much money did you guys raise that day? It was a big telethon.
Yeah, I'm not sure just yet.
All right.
I'm not sure just yet, but
Make sure it goes to the right places.
yeah. Oh yeah. Well, it will. Yes.
Get that second channel fixed on the board.
It's just live radio. What can I say, everybody? But the podcast world is different, and we had the wonderful Tony here tonight.
Yeah, Tony,
playing
thank you.
playing
Always.
producer. I mean, it's 9 o'clock. Are we finished yet?
And let me say, his show, he was here at 9
I know,
a.m.
it says 9 a.m. on the board up there, but that's okay. They're 12 hours off.
Tony had a long day. He's been
It's-
in the
it's 9 a.m.
studio
somewhere.
all day, man. So you got to cut him a
It's
break.
all right.
Yeah,
It's good.
somewhere,
He's still
somewhere,
smiling.
Hanging out with good people. So
somewhere
it's
between
cool.
here and Australia, it's 9 a.m. But Tony, thanks,
It's
man.
9 a.m.
Thank you, man.
It's nice to meet you.
You too, brother.
Yes,
you
Mark,
too.
it's a pleasure.
And Tommy, good to see you
Good
again,
seeing you.
man.
And
Yeah,
thanks everybody out
I
there
had
who
fun,
tunes
yeah.
in the future.
Take it
or if
easy,
you happen to
everyone.
stumble upon us tonight.
Peace.
This happens every other Monday. I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Thanks. Bye.